Ladies and gentlemen, hello, good morning. My name is Darius Anucauskas and I'm the Chief Market Analyst here at Markets.com. Look, this is a quick little video preview. I'll try to keep it simple. Are we already there? Are we taking some profits finally? Look, about all that and a little bit more in the session right now, so stay tuned. Hopefully you'll enjoy the session and I'll see you in a bit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello, and good morning. My name is Darius Anucauskas, and I'm the Chief Market Analyst here at Markets.com. And today, ladies and gentlemen, is the last trading day of the week, not to mention the month. And honestly, today's the 30th of January. We still have one day left in January, that's tomorrow. But yeah, we're kind of done with the whole January already, with the trading in it. Okay, the crypto world will be open. That's fine, but certainly the things that we have gone through January, it seems like it was already like a year. Honestly, this month feels like a year. So look, before we go any further, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So yes, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation and should not be considered as such. This material should not be taken as information. This material should not be considered as such. This material should not be taken as an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. There we go. Shifted a little bit away from the text. Look, ladies and gentlemen, let me just put my usual good morning in the chat room. Good morning, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, there we go. Yes, so I hope everybody's having a wonderful start of Friday, and I hope you're all feeling that you could be profitable today. Not saying it in the ironic or sarcastic way, no, for sure not, but basically because the markets are so quick to change that, oh my god, one day we're like flying high and we're aiming for 6,000 on gold, the other day we are just basically trying to scrape the last bits and stay above 5,000 or something. So long story short, ladies and gentlemen, for now, let's also quickly mention our Markets.com website, which you can always check out for more information about us. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist. So ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look at the economic calendar. First of all, let's refresh a little bit. So yeah, Friday. Look, yesterday we had, in general this week, on Wednesday probably, that's the main action when everything started, the BOC interest rate decision came out. Why is it not updated? Come on, refresh here. Wednesday, give me Wednesday. There we go. So yeah, we got the interest rate decision, 2.25 from Canada. Nothing new here, nothing major. Fed came out after that. It was a snooze fest. But look, I think that everybody was kind of hoping to see some sort of hoping to hear something from the Fed chair about all the accusations that have kind of fallen on him recently. So, but none of that, none of that kind of happened. He just said that he's not going to cover these questions at the press conference, mainly sticking to monetary policy. So yeah, that's kind of what we got, and I think all the reporters who had their questions ready in there, they got disappointed and they had to quickly shift to another question or so. Oh, by the way, I can see that I've made a little mistake here. Good morning. No, it's good morning. There we go. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, so that's what happened on Wednesday. Thursday was kind of an interesting day because we started seeing sell-offs everywhere. Indices, DAX, honestly, DAX was hit hard. Look, consumer confidence numbers improved, but it seems like none of that mattered because everything was circulating around the tech giants, the European tech giants, and I think the fact that SAP reported bad earnings and dropped heavily, that was that was a big bummer for DAX. Anyway, but look, Friday today, we got this morning Tokyo Core CPI year-on-year at 2.0 against the previous 2.3. So Tokyo CPI headline 1.5 against the. Okay, this is interesting because look, we know that the BOJ is planning to go for those rate hikes, and now the lower CPI number kind of pushes that a little bit further, meaning that maybe we'll see a bit of weakness in the Japanese yen. But like I said, I'll jump into that in a bit. Industrial production from Japan, the preliminary numbers, 2.6, better than the previous minus 2.2. Retail sales year on year, ooh, that's a bummer. Yes, that's not good. Going further, construction orders from Japan, significant improvement. Look, okay, so today we have German unemployment numbers. It's coming out at the end of my webinar here, so I don't know. Maybe we'll have a chance to look at it. But 6.3, that's the expectation for the unemployment rate. We'll see if anything above 6.3, of course, could be seen as a bit of a negative for DAX, further negative. GDP, a lot of German numbers. GDP growth rate flash, the estimates, yes, coming out, so we'll keep an eye on those. Then we're getting the Eurozone, the European Union GDP growth rate, and also the estimates. Also the preliminary inflation numbers from Germany coming out, okay, and today from the US. Okay, the PPIs are coming out. So so the PPIs here, the month-on-month producer price inflation is expected to remain the same at plus 0.2. The headline one is expected to, the headline year-on-year one is expected to decline a little bit to 2.7. Okay, so we're expecting a little bit of a lower number. So maybe this is kind of a, if it comes out lower, then the White House administration can probably say, you know what, we're actually, doing the right thing, that we're, we're attacking, Powell, because, inflation is not high, right? I mean, inflation is, inflation is okay. Look, it's for now, yes, but then what it could lead to, that's the thing. Anyway, Chicago PMI 44. That's what it's currently sitting at. Forecast. The previous was at 43.5. Again, higher than the previous. Yeah, this is the expectation. Let's see what's going to happen. Honestly, I think what we're going to be looking at today, honestly, I think it's going to be more of a what's happening with the companies, because we're in the earnings season, and what kind of a reaction we will get from the market, from the market, because look, this week we got, we had some big players delivering interest rate, what am I talking about, earnings. So we had some big let's actually jump into the charts here. I'm in Nikkei right now, but I'll quickly pick up on the stocks here. So we had the weapon producers, right? Those companies are in standby. LMT, I think, came out as well with their Lockheed Martin. Where's Lockheed Martin? Because they came out with earnings miss. But hey, there you go. This is the interesting bit. So it doesn't matter if you miss the earnings or something, if it's still so okay. So revenue was a good surprise. However, yeah, earnings, EPS was a little bit on the lower side. Yes, but the revenues were good. Of course, everybody's trying to blow each other up, so that's why it's all fine, right? So yes, wait, EPS is showing me that it's okay. Why is it then this is here like that? EPS is showing me at 5. Reported, it says 5.8, but the estimate was 5. Okay, the estimate was, so it's a miss on the estimate, but still higher. Yes, but then oh my god, this is very interesting. This is contradicting information. Where's that Lockheed Martin? Just saw it this one. Wednesday, was it Wednesday? Lockheed Martin, or no, it was Thursday, yesterday. 5.75. Okay, 5.8 and 5.75 one source. At least the revenue is kind of close enough. Almost, yeah. So a little bit of a problem here, I would say. There's a little bit of a discrepancy in terms of earnings reports. So one source is telling me one thing, the other one's this one. So on the other source, everything is fantastic. On this one, is just like a miss a little bit on the EPS. But okay, look, either way, we saw Lockheed Martin flying high, right? RTX, was kind of a little bit of a on the cautious side. Where's that? Always have struggled to Northrop. What the ticker is NOC. Yes, the ticker is NOC. This one. So everybody's kind of doing well, right? Because everybody's, like I said, there's plenty of conflicts happening around the world. It's okay, right? I mean, so yeah, this is what you do when you invest in these stocks, because you kind of hoping to see conflict somewhere, bloodshed. So that's where the issue is with in investing into these stocks. These stocks perform best when, like I said, there is tragedy. Anyway, so yeah, going back to the earnings. Look, I mean, you know what? I'll jump into those other stocks as well, and I'll pick up on the Dow and the S&P 500. Look, what's interesting happening right now is that we are seeing some, action in the precious metals. Stocks, those are a little bit on the careful side, I would say, right now. I mean, those are. It seems like everybody's waiting for a catalyst of some sort. Now, the new appointee, which will be announced today, it will be announced today. The new appointee for the Fed by the White House. It basically kind of is showing that the Kevin Warsh, I think is going to be the one. Kevin Warsh. Yep. I think it's this guy who's going to be, Kevin Warsh. So basically, it seems like Trump is expecting to nominate him. Apparently, the market is saying that this guy is more of a hawkish one. So he's basically in favor of rate hikes. I don't know. Like it's an interesting story here. I think there's a little bit of some sort of like chess game happening in the background, where somebody's trying to lead us or guide us towards one person, but then maybe it's actually going to be another person. So look, for now I would say this way. It's an interesting it's an interesting moment here, and I would say I think he might be the guy in general. I think he's yeah. Look, the interesting bit of all nomination of actually I just realized one thing. The interesting bit of nomination of Kevin Warsh is because his wife is Jane Lowder, and she's the daughter of the billionaire Estee Lauder, who is very actively right now supporting Trump. So basically, yeah, it's the guy, the billionaire, the Ronald Lauder. He's basically, he was a big contributor to Trump's campaign, and we know that this is like what how it went. So in a way, it's like you're doing a little bit of a favor. So yeah, Kevin Warsh surely most likely will be the one, but just because, like I said, the connection. This is, you see the family connection here. So if you're thinking that for his maybe credibility, okay, he's a good guy and everything, but it's. There is more to this. Anyway, the market, like I said, we'll see how the markets will react, but looking at Nikkei for now, we're stuck here a little bit. We're waiting for clearance. I talked about it. I'm not going to spend too much time on Nikkei here, because why? Because the 54,500 here zone is the barrier that I'm watching. I need a clearance of that in order to go higher. That's the current all-time high. However, we're closer to this key area of support, which in a way is something to keep in mind. For now it's the little issue here, the little hurdle here between the 52,000 kind of, or should I say around 52,550, 600. So basically I need a clearance of this whole area. If we do that, then yes, great, I'll go a little bit lower. Shanghai Composite, look, it did decline initially, but look at the recovery very quickly, right? So in a way, what we're seeing here is an interesting point here. We're seeing, a move lower, but then a quick recovery back above this 23.6, which I talked about a lot about in this week. I said that if we do drop and stay below this hurdle, then yes, great, more sellers here could join in. Now, if we do remain below the 23.6, the 4,100 zone, then yes, great, I'll go lower. But at the moment, we're struggling to kind of push, back below it. So long story short, we would prefer to wait this one out, because my upside scenario here is on the push above the 4,190 zone. Dow Jones Industrial Average, looking at this one, okay. The range, right? We did drop yesterday. We dropped below my hurdle here. I talked about it, 48,782, but we failed to stay above it, and then we pushed strongly back up. So we can see that yesterday, basically Dow, yes, it did lose out a little bit. For some reason, it's not showing me this. Why is it not showing me? Why are the prices here not updated? Let me just double check here very quickly. Yeah, there we go. This one has not been updated. So Dow was the best performer, although with a minor plus 0.11 gain. However, the S&P and the Nasdaq were in the red a little bit. So let's take a look at those. Look at this. S&P at one point dropped heavily, but then look at this, boom, back to the upside. Honestly, okay. Look, earnings. Microsoft delivered on Wednesday. They delivered fantastic earnings. Where's that MSFT? Fantastic earnings on Wednesday. A little bit of a shoot up here, and then yesterday, kaboom! They were downgraded, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just, or actually excluded from the Morgan Stanley list, if I'm not mistaken. So I need to double check this information a little bit. Loses and spend, blah blah blah. The tech serial. Okay. They reported that the growth of the AI is a little bit slower a little bit. So okay, that's okay. Look, don't take my word for that. I need to look into this a little bit more, a little bit deeper. But yeah, in general. Everybody's ramping up spending. However, I think that they reported that one of their divisions is a little bit on the slower side. I can't remember which one, but honestly, apologies for that. So yeah, these guys reported they had great earnings. Now the market didn't like it. Most likely, we'll see today a little bit of recovery. I think maybe we could actually fill the gap here because the gap is way too big. And we could fill the gap a little bit. So be prepared. Maybe we'll see a little bit of a recovery. So no rush there. Actually, you know what? Let me check. I have the pre-market pricing running. Let's see what's happening in the stock world. So MSFT right now. Where are we at this point? So let me just see. Microsoft right now 432. So okay, so it's close actually to where it closed yesterday. So it did not recover yet. So we're currently, I can see that the price is getting into a little bit of a squeeze. So there should be a pop in one of the directions. Maybe the pop will happen before the US opening bell, so keep that in mind. Now, in terms of other big tech which reported. Okay, let's see. IBM reported. ASML, of course, ASML. Now, this is the European giant. Did not feel the love yesterday. SAP. Let's have a look at Dow and SAP, SE, etc. DAX. Look at this disaster here. Boom to the downside. Look. There's a little bit of a problem here, and I think that everybody's worried because look, the SAP provides software, and it seems like maybe the software could be replaced. Maybe less of it will be in demand due to the whole AI. So, yeah, it's a bit of a tragedy, I would say, here for the company, because it was a European giant, big one. They will try to. I think that they will feel the heat, in my opinion. So, but of course, they will try to save save themselves. But we'll see. We'll see what's how they will save themselves, because again, it's a difficult environment right now to operate in. Yeah, the only thing is, I think time will tell, but certainly the big the drop is not the something that they would like to see, of course. um, Look, Meta. Meta showed apparently good results. There we go. Yeah, it showed fantastic results, and we're seeing a nice blow up here to the upside. I think Meta is one of those stocks that will go to 1,000. I think that, after experiencing a drop back in 2022, when it was, a little bit below the $100 mark, look at this. 3 years, no, sorry, 3 years, almost, like, yeah, actually, in 3 years, boom, what a rise, what a rally here we saw. So, I mean, talk about gains, right? I mean, congratulations to those who were holding Meta, and honestly, it just performed amazing. Um, the question is, should we buy it right now? I would say I'm not here to provide financial advice, because again, it's everything, you need to do your own research in a way. But certainly, the fact that, is it going to be like seen as the next nvda? Could be, just from a different side, then yeah, it could be the case. But speaking of the devil, nvidia here is trying to make its way back up here. Of course, the all-time highs around here. This is the 212 zone. Again, that's the after the split we had, way back here, so yeah, it's like I said, it had 10-to-1 split. So if it would be today, then it would be 2,000 here. So, but again, when it was like above 1,000, I think it was getting way too expensive for the average consumer. So that's why these big tech giants do these stock splits. It's like common practice. So Meta, and at one point Meta will do the same, in my opinion. However, I think they need to hit 1,000 first, at least. So is it doable? I think so, yes. Anyway, going back to the stock market, ladies and gentlemen. So yes, NASDAQ, looking at this one, again, also beautiful decline. Look at the major drop. In general, by the way, if you remember, I talked about this last week. I said if we do break above the 25,435 zone right here, then I will consider a move higher. I will target this 26,182, and there we go. This area got tested. Fantastic. Then basically I have to do it this way now. So first of all, clearing up the chart a little bit. And yep, looking at this picture here, look, if we do fall again back below the 25,827, because look at this, look at the major drop we experienced, and then a major recovery. This was, honestly, this was like dip buying or something. But if you want to call it this, then I think you're not going to be wrong. Currently, the index is hovering around 25,640. So basically, we're back below this hurdle right here. So there are a few indications that are worrying a little bit. Look, I'll say it this way: if we somehow start climbing back above the 25,827, and by the way, the reason why I'm saying that climbing back is because currently, like I said, on the cash index, I can see that we're below this hurdle, and we're around 25,640 zone. So if we somehow start climbing back above this hurdle, then yeah, maybe we could see some buying interest coming in here again, and potentially maybe leading to a new all-time high, because we were very close. We were very close, but we failed. So that's a little bit of a concern. The German index DAX, a little bit of recovery. Yes, we need that. So a little bit of recovery, boom, to the upside. That's great, fine. Okay, what can I say? First of all, the Fibonacci levels worked out nicely. I need to remove all the drawings here, and yep, we did fall temporarily below that 24,350 zone yesterday. That's the low of the 21st of January. We fell below that hurdle. We came very close to testing the 100-day EMA, and we did rebound after that. So look, we're now, like I said, pushing not only back, not only that we're rebounding from the 100-day EMA, but we're also pushing back above the 24,350 zone, so which is a good area of support. Yeah, we, like I said, I think my next target here will be this 50-day EMA shown as the green line. I think it could be tested, so let's keep an eye on it. Last time it acted as a good area of support a few times here, but now and also resistance, so maybe it will do the same thing again. So keep that in mind. That's roughly around the 24,520 zone-ish, approximately around there. Currently, the German index is trading around 24,484. So yes, correct. I'm just sometimes double checking the pricing on different platforms just to see if there are no kind of skew moments or something. So yeah, let's keep an eye on this. I think that we're not far. So this 520 kind of easily doable, for today. The FTSE 100. Again, beautiful movement here, honestly. Like I talked about this, I threw out this piece this week to our VIP clients. I said that, look, we're currently stuck in a little bit of a box here. So what we need to see here is a breakout through one of the sides. If we can get that breakout, that's wonderful. Potentially, we could consider the next short-term directional move. For now, we are waiting. We're waiting. We're trying to figure out what's going to happen next. But certainly, the moment, yes, it's a tricky one. It wants to push higher, but it's struggling, and we don't really have major news for today from the UK. We have some of this, mortgage approvals. It could be mortgage lending. Yes, could be the case. However, I think what's going to be interesting here is that if the U.S. market actually, if the U.S. government goes into that partial shutdown, well, it's another one, So we'll see if that's going to happen or not. We should find out today. Yeah, we should find out today. So, so keep your eyes on this. So basically, long story short, while we were in the box, we're not really touching this one. DXY. DXY, very interesting. Trying to climb back crawl back into the range here. Look, I will say it this way. On one hand, yes, it's showing willingness, to crawl back, but a couple of days before we had this attempt, we did push back inside the range. We failed to stay inside of it. Again, is this going to be a third time lucky? We'll see, because in general, looking at this from the technical perspective, maybe this is actually forming a nice bearish flag. So you have a pole, you have a flag formation here. Let's see if this is going to end up like a bearish flag and then just kind of drop back down. So I'm not going to be very optimistic about the US dollar for now, because again, we know that the White House doesn't need it to be stronger for now, at least. So that's why, we will be keeping an eye on this one at this moment. Just a quick update on the volatility, ladies and gentlemen. There we go, volatility index. Okay, this is heightened right now. You can see we can see that it opened with a gap here to the upside. Look at the gap. In general, yesterday it shot up because again, with all the mess that's happening in the markets right now, and it is just it's just like crazy in a way. So long story short, I would say this way that I think there could be some more upside on this one. I don't want to rush into things, of course, but it could be some more interesting stuff happening in the market. Now we'll see how it plays out, of course, but certainly at the moment it's volatility is the one to watch, because if it starts pushing somewhere above 20, hey, I would love to actually consider this one. I would like to see a shoot up here to the upside. That would be quite interesting, because then the market would actually sell off a little bit, and hey, maybe we could see some interesting opportunities there. Let's jump into the forex world, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Of course, AUDUSD selling off a little bit. That's fine. Nothing major here. Nothing spectacular. But the fact that yes, we had a great run already. Let's draw my beloved Fibonacci on this one, and let's mark it from the low of the 15th of January. Actually, you know what? Where's the lowest point of January here? Is this the one? No, this is not. It's here. Wait, no, sorry, it's here. So the lowest point of January to the highest point of January, we were seeing that, okay, great, 23.6 we already did. So we already did the the retracement. Now the 23.6, like I said, is the interesting area to watch. 0.6992. Let's see if it's going to hold. If it's not going to hold, then yeah, further declines are possible here, and this is where I'm going to start aiming for the 38.2. Long story short, for now, I will say this way that it's an interesting area where we're sitting at. It's an important one. I would say you have to keep an eye on it. The 0.6992-ish, that's around 23.6. Let's see which way we're going to drop. If we're going to drop again below and stay below that 23.6, then yes, further declines are possible. AUDJPY. AUDJPY, it's an interesting one here as well. Basically, here, this upside support line taken from the low of the 6th of November, it is kind of it's still intact in a way, so we need to keep an eye on it, because as long as it remains intact, the upside scenario is still possible, and yeah, we could see a further move higher. Oh, by the way, Mr. Rowlett, I can see you there. Hey, what's my analysis on on gold, basically? Yeah, look, it's coming up because I'm going through the forex very quickly. Analysis on natural gas. Yes, commodities, I will pick up on that, because first I go through indices, then I go through currencies, and then I jump into commodities and then crypto. Don't worry, by the way, I'm not going through this whole list of forex. No, it's just randomly there. It's just sorry, not randomly. I just pick up on the top ones, but yeah, the commodity sector is coming up, so stay tuned, because this one is very interesting. I'm seeing gold right now falling off the cliff, honestly. It's on the side here, it's working, and oh my god, honestly, look, as we speak right now, we're dropping heavily on gold, but it's going to be very interesting to see where we're going to head with this one, because is this this is that's why I mentioned the topic profit taking, so maybe. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, let me just quickly go back. Actually, you know what? Let me just quickly go back to the forex world, because I'm saying that there's some madness happening in the commodities section right now, especially precious metals. So let me just let it settle down right now. Let's not, let's see what's going to happen there. AUDJPY. Okay, this one's still on the, like I said, on this kind of cautious side, because again, the Japanese yen is not getting bought very quickly right now. Inflation is on the lower side. And this is where the problem arises now. If we follow, if the stock market starts reversing lower, then yeah, we could see this one kind of dropping heavily here, because again, everybody will start selling risk currencies like AUD and NZD, jumping into safer haven ones, Japanese yen. But the problem is that we are kind of not seeing the reversal in the stock market, only in the precious metals. So again, like I said, it's a very interesting thing here happening, because again, the general concept is that that if metals fall, I'll pick up on that in a bit. Let's not mix forex with commodities. EURUSD, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look at this one. So okay, a little bit of a retracement, that's fine. Don't worry, it's nothing major. But like I said, I do not believe in a stronger dollar yet. So that's why I believe that EURUSD actually could travel again back to that 120 zone, or maybe even a little bit above that, because a little bit above that, I do have my 1.2350 zone and the 1.2555 zone. So these are the levels that I really like, and I think that could be quite doable later on. EUROJPY, okay, EUROJPY, honestly, like, metals are selling off hard. EUROJPY in a little bit more, and silver will actually drop below 100 or something. I don't know. Yes, EUROJPY, ladies and gentlemen. Again, watching this one very carefully. It is at a very interesting spot. I do like to find these setups. I think this is quite attractive. So if we do break this upside support line taken from the low of the 28th of February, then yes, I think yes, further declines could be possible. So keep that in mind. for now, I'm not getting bullish nor bearish. I'm just observing the price action. Although I should say that as long as we stay above this upside support line, we need to remain positive. Okay, let's jump into GBPUSD very quickly. GBPUSD. Okay, also similar story as with the euro, a little bit of a correction back down here, maybe a bullish flag formation. So just keep an eye on this 1.3789 zone, or even better, actually a push above the 1.3870 could do the trick for a few more buyers. Going further, GBPJPY, similar story. We're just kind of bouncing around this upside line, which is a little bit tricky here. So it's very tentative, don't get me wrong. I mean, I keep on redrawing this, so it's a little bit tentative, however somehow respected still. So so yeah, keep that in mind. For now, like I said, if we do remain above this area, then certainly there is a chance of a push higher. However, my preference is for the upside above the 213.88 zone. USDCAD. USDCAD, whoa, there we go. Dropping heavily, and of course, oil is helping it out. The weaker dollar is helping it out. This pair, it's helping the bears of this pair. And we fell below the 1.3540. This is the lowest point. This was the lowest point of 2025, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, the lowest point of 2025. We dropped below that, and basically there we go. First of all, my analysis worked out. I was talking about this drop below the 1.3642. Boom, fantastic. Now the next target is for me around here somewhere. This is a good area. This is the low of the lowest point of September of 2024. Good potential target, roughly around the 1.3420. Only if we see weakness still, strength in the oil market. If we somehow see the opposite happening, I think this could recover back up very quickly, despite the weaker dollar. USDJPY. And by saying a recovery, and I'm talking about USDCAD recovery, so the Canadian dollar could weaken again. USDJPY. Look, somewhat of a bearish flag formation. So we jumped off from the 200-day EMA. Beautiful test here. We're testing now the 100-day EMA. So if we stay below this whole thing, I will continue targeting the downside. So long story short, for now, I will continue targeting the downside as long as we stay below this 154.45 zone right there, and then we'll just take it from there. USDCHF. USDCHF is an interesting point here. So if we're looking at, again, lower levels, just honestly follow DXY, because again, I think that this is just kind of a copy of DXY in a way. So yeah, just keep that in mind, because if you're looking for some higher levels on USDCHF, it's difficult here. I would probably just wait up for a pushback above this hurdle here, this area, but I know it's a lot to miss out on. So I'm not examining the upside scenario yet, unless I see some sort of interesting formations here on USD Swiss franc. Ladies and gentlemen, and Mr. Roulette, I hope you're still here, let's check out gold. Ladies and gentlemen, the commodity sector. So, okay, a little bit of profit taking. That's what I'm gonna say, and I think there's also a little bit of a reaction to the whole Kevin Warsh situation, right? Because again, as I said, the market sees him more as a hawk, right? Meaning that he's more kind of in favor of rate hikes. Now, which is interesting, actually, and like I said, it's very interesting, and kind of the White House administration appointing Kevin Warsh, who's a hawk, and then you're actually, attacking Powell for not cutting rates. Then you start thinking, right, okay, so it's probably the whole, wife situation, right? I mean, because, the wife is the daughter of Ronald Lauder, the establisher of Estee Lauder Cosmetics, right, company. He's a billionaire, of course, we understand, big contributor to the Trump's campaign. So, you scratch my back, I scratch your back, right? So there we go. We have, a good family dynasty happening there. So that's why, maybe like I said, maybe the market is seeing this and maybe thinking, okay, something is brewing, something bigger is brewing. So if you are pointing a hawk, that means that you're worried that inflation will pick up, and that means because you will be probably raising interest rates, you'll be probably advocating for maybe slowing down on the cuts and raising rates, so in order to stabilize inflation, which is not happening yet. But again, everybody's talking about stagflation, and I was talking about this in my sessions as well, that yeah, it's an interesting moment here. Long story short, ladies and gentlemen. So for now, I would say this way. Gold, yes, gold is declining after a strong move to the upside here. Look at this. I mean, this was spectacular. Honestly, I think we got this wrong. I got this wrong. 5,350. I was aiming for this one, but that's fine. Unfortunately, in this market, it was very, very difficult to find a good area of resistance. So I'm trying to figure out where could be that logic. Where could be that level that kind of helped this. So maybe it was somewhere here, actually, so maybe, just maybe, I don't know, like maybe it's this little short thing. It's like, again, we can try to I think it's all very like subjective. So anyway, look, we found an all-time high, and I think that we're at this point where we almost hit 5,600, almost. And you remember in one of these sessions, in my previous sessions, I talked about that whenever the market goes for some levels, I was hoping to see maybe 4,900-ish, not hitting the 5, but then it hit the 5, and then I thought, okay, so we're going to go for that 5,500. Okay, we hit that. Then it was like slowly picking up pace, and 5,600 was the next target. There we go. Boom, very close. Reversal. I think a lot of people were having maybe their targets around 5,600. Yesterday we saw a reversal, a major reversal, and now today even a bigger major reversal to the downside. Look, Fibonacci retracement from this level, from the low of the 31st of December to the highest point of January. There we go, 38.2. We did that already. We're currently resting on this level. I think that maybe a little bit of a retracement back up could be possible, maybe back to 187.90 here zone. Could be an option, but let's not get ahead of ourselves, because again, if it drops and stays below the 5,092, then yeah, dropping back below the 5,000 level. Look, in general, it's Friday. It's the last day of the month. And we get these crazy moves, these one-way traffics. And look at this monthly chart. Look at this. Look how well. Oh my God, this is just insane. I'm gonna put my alarm here on the 5,000 mark. I think this is quite logical. So we have gained this month. Look at this. We have gained so far 18%. However, at one point we were gaining all 29%. So we kind of slashed a little bit, And the interesting bit is that if today, by any chance, we will remain below the 5,000 mark and we will close the month below the 5,000, is this going to be like a signal for everybody to, hey, let's start let's start kind of considering a deeper reversal back to the downside? Yeah, it could be the case, ladies and gentlemen. It could be the case because, again, this, I said before and I'll say it again, this cannot continue like this. And, well, maybe my prayers have been heard, and I think a little bit of profit taking could be possible here. And I think that, or maybe somebody will say, hey, maybe this is like the perfect time for a dip buying, right? This is another thing, because still the demand for precious metals is there. Still the demand, for silver, for gold, for platinum, for copper especially, is still there. So until we see like a big turnaround in the tech stocks, which by the way we saw yesterday a little bit, so that also could be the trigger point for gold, for all these precious metals. But we also need to see a little bit of selling in the indices. I think that this is something to keep in mind. Because if the indices are kind of not really, still pushing higher, showing us a upside momentum, then I don't think that the big selling could start now. I think when the stock market starts correcting strongly to the downside, this is where we will see precious metals also correcting lower. Because again, look, it's all connected. We have this uprise in precious metals because of fear, and in the global market and everything, and geopolitics, and the dollar. Dollar is weaker, but but still, if normally you would say that when everything is going bad in the stock market, then this is where the point you need to go and buy precious metals. Well, yes and no, right? Because look, if everything goes bad in the stock market, then governments need money, and governments were piling on these metals very much, and they were purchasing a lot of gold, a lot of silver, and there we go. I think that now they could use those gains. They could use those gains for a little bit of, like I said, a little bit of having cash. A little bit of having cash for the rainy day. So why to continue buying like it peaks like that when you can take profits? Hope for a little bit of retracement, maybe go in then again. But the thing is that I don't think that um, they will continue buying, but I think that a bigger retracement, that's what we would need to see, in order for everybody to get excited again. So yes, gold could go to 6,000. Don't get me wrong. But is it going to be? We just don't know when that's going to happen. Is it going to be this year, or actually are we going to see, something? Let's say, something. Oh, what's the word for that? Something like of a bigger retracement first, and then kind of push higher. Let's see. Again, I'm watching that 5,000 psychological 5,000 level. We're seeing a nice recovery right now happening, but again. Let me just bring my Fibonacci back to the table here. So, but again, I think that I'm gonna keep an eye on the 5,000 kind of 200 level ish, or maybe ideally 5,286. If we somehow stay below that 5,286, then I think that yes, further declines could be possible. If we climb back above it, maybe we're forming something like a very, very weird bullish flag with a lot of tails here. Silver. So long story short, look, for now I would say this way. Am I going to get long? No, because again, I don't know at this point. Honestly, it's very tricky. I think that we could see a little bit of retracement back up here towards maybe the 5,000 kind of 190 zone. But if we clear and jump above the 200, then the 286 is the one. The 5,286 is my next little target. But if we start falling heavily back below the 5,092, yep, I think it's opening the door to the 5,000 level. Silver. Now, the silver, everybody's watching the psychological 100 level, and I think I need to set my alarm here. But yeah, a little bit higher here. There we go. So the 100 level, I think is going to be a psychological one. If we fall below the 100, I think further declines here could be possible. So keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, it's an interesting moment we're going through in history. I repeatedly said that this is the third time in history that we are seeing such a parabolic move in silver, and at one point this will have to end. Look at silver in general, honestly, like this gain, this month, wow, like 60 at one point, 68% gain. Are you kidding me? Honestly, are you kidding me? Now it's only 44% up for the month. Yeah. I don't know, honestly, really, this is just like I said, this, and talk about speculation for real. It's really, come on, So we know that there was I think, post by the U.S. leader I saw recently that he was kind of, complaining back in 2017 or 19, he was complaining about silver being at 16 and a half only or something like that, and totally undervalued precious metal, and look where we are at now with silver. Now, look, one thing that I'm watching here as well is gold-silver ratio. Now, yesterday we had, oh no, sorry, not yesterday, on 26th, yes, on Monday, we had a big drop here. And now look at this. This is the ratio between gold and silver. This is how many times gold is more expensive than silver. Recently, it took a hit because silver has been the one, on everybody's radar. And the question to me is actually, are we actually going to go a little bit more to the downside? Yes, we're seeing a little bit of a pushback up, but if we somehow continue to stay below that 50 ratio, look, I was targeting the 40-41 zone previously because I think that this is a very good area of support. We also have this upside line. Look, in general, I would say you should not be applying technical analysis on something like this, but yeah, no, it's just for fun, right? And this, like I said, maybe this could be this area, good area for support. Now, gold might remain kind of where it is right now. Let's say it might not recover that much. Maybe silver will recover a little bit more. And that means that, yes, this means that we could see this chart actually falling a little bit further south. And if we do find good support somewhere around this 41 level, then hey, by the way, I need to put an alert here on the 43.40. Yes, continue anyway. So that, if we clear this area, then this is the lowest point of this month. So if we clear this area, then we could end up testing this zone here. But hey, for now, watching this one very carefully. So keep that in mind. Certainly, we're seeing a little bit of a retracement here, but maybe because gold is falling quicker than silver. So that's what I'm saying. That's why I do believe maybe silver could, retrace back up a little bit more. But again, let's not over speculate. I can see gold right now is trying to climb back up. Maybe this will end up traveling to that 5,190 level that I talked about just now. So let's see. Maybe that's going to be the case. Well, I really don't want to rush into things and rush into conclusions yet, but certainly I'm watching that hurdle very, very much. Let's jump into platinum very quickly. By the way, Mr. Roulette, I do remember you're asking about natural gas because that one's a crazy fest in there. Platinum, yes, of course, declining. Palladium also declining. Look, palladium, I really like palladium, okay? This one is one of those metals that, look, we tested beautifully the 50%. Now we're back to the 38.2 on the Fibonacci retracement, which is drawn, by the way, from the highest point of 2022 to the lowest point of 2024. I talked about this palladium a long time ago, a while ago, last year. I said when we were still at 1,250. I said keep your eyes on this because, again, a double bottom here, nice break here, fantastic. So now we're seeing a little bit of retracement. Look, ideally I would like to see a retracement on this one, but yeah, I'm not in a rush. I do like palladium a little bit more than any other metal, but hey, we'll see how it goes. Look, copper, of course, copper, beautiful explosion here, a little bit of retracement, but not as big of a retracement as within the other precious metals. Why? Well, because it's just used everywhere, even more than, those other ones, gold and silver, yes, they're also used everywhere in technology and stuff like that, but they're more expensive. So, you're always, let's put it this way, we have more wires than, than little elements where you need to, put gold and silver in. So copper is, is the go-to metal. So if technology starts failing, I would say copper, keep your eyes on the copper because that one could retrace back down as well. Very quickly on on sugar, one of my beloved sugar, yeah, this one's drifting back down here. I'm keeping an eye on this 14.39 zone. If we do fall below it, there's a forthcoming lower low would be confirmed, and we could start shifting our attention towards the 14 level. However, if we do push above the 15 level, now that's going to be an interesting one, and we could start examining the upside. Soybeans. Soybeans are going to be probably stuck in this little wide range, so maybe further declines at some point could be possible, but at the moment, yes, we're drifting lower. I think there is a chance for this one to actually drift back down again. WTI oil, there we go. Your answer to why Canada's dollar is rising. Congratulations to all the Canadian dollar holders. against the US dollar. So we had a great run. I talked about this. I said if we do pop above the 62.59, boom, there we go. So I talked about this on Monday, on Wednesday, and we had a great run. We tested my target, 65.78. Fantastic. Look, I still consider this to be as a larger correction to the upside, a larger correction to the upside before another possible leg of selling. Why? Because we're still below this downside line. Overall, we're on a downtrend. It's just that we're struggling to drop below the $55 mark. Hey, maybe the time will come. Maybe the time will come, and we could see, something like this here. And if we do see a push further north, this downside line is something to keep in mind. So again, like I said, maybe we're not done with the upside yet. A little bit more higher here, and then we could, see a drop in the oil market here. Because let's face it, at the moment there are fears that that the U.S. will strike Iran. But what's interesting is that the U.S. administration really wants cheaper oil, but they have a dilemma in a way. On one hand, you have this other nation, which other country, which just keeps on, sitting on their shoulder and saying, on the U.S.'s shoulder, saying attack Iran, attack Iran. On the other hand, there's on the other shoulder, there's this other little American patriot saying don't attack Iran because it's gonna explode, because oil prices are gonna go higher, and you're gonna mess up. So then the domestic market could get felt in the wrong, how to say, your own people will suffer. The question is which shoulder he will listen to. So because at this point, like I said, it's a tricky game. So I think the normally what happens, normally money wins, and the people get sacrificed. So standard practice. Is this something new? Is that the world should be surprised? No, standard practice. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you have to choose, which way you're gonna go. You're gonna, damage your own little economy, or little economy, or actually you're gonna go for your own benefit and listen to that other shoulder which just keeps on saying attack Iran, attack Iran. Let's see. It's going to be an interesting moment here, I would say. So if maybe what they could do is go for threats right now, threat, and then not do it, and then oil will stabilize and push back up. So an option. This is an option. Natural gas, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Rowlett, I hope you're still here. Natural gas. So I don't know, I said it in the beginning of this week. I said congratulations to those, honestly, to those short sellers who were holding here, decided to, it's time to sell. It's way too expensive. Boom, to the downside. Look at this gain. Honestly, wow, this is, talk about speculation. Honestly, I think now the price has stabilized a little bit. So this is kind of a new norm, where it should be right now. So I think it will trade a little bit. Let me tidy up the chart because again, it's getting way too messy. I think there we go. This. Yes, I do believe in more downside on natural gas, especially if it falls below the 3.73 territory right here, and then we'll just take it from there. I think we could drop a little bit lower. For the upside, for the upside, look, we could try to squeeze something out here, maybe, push back above the 4 level, the cycle, or 4.18. In general, I think, like I said, keep your eyes on the 4 level. If we do push back above 4, then yeah, this is where, potentially a few buyers could step in, drag this one up here. Again, if you believe in the theory of filling up the gaps, there's plenty of filling to do, certainly. But I would say just be cautious. I don't think the full gap could be filled here. So maybe it could be stalled somewhere 5, maybe somewhere maybe a little bit 5.5. It looks good, but I think that maybe a little bit, given that the weather is getting better in the U.S., so because this is really highly responsive to what's happening in the U.S. So yes, the only thing that could happen in a way is that, for example, if maybe Europe starts feeling the cold too much, maybe then we could see a little bit of a push higher in natural gas prices. But and like I said, maybe those could drag here because again, Europe would be buying from the US, so there's like more demand in there, and like I said, this is where we could see maybe a push back to 5.5, something like that. Again, there's a lot of ifs. Unfortunately, with this one, although it sometimes is technical, but you have to actually, keep an eye on the fundamentals here, keep an eye on the headlines and what's happening there. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, very quickly, I'm out of time already, but let me just have a look what's happening with cryptos. My God. Bitcoin drop. There we go. We're near the lowest point of I wanted to say 2025. No, it's the lowest point of November, ladies and gentlemen. 80,550 zone-ish. If we clear this, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is opening the door to this lowest point of 2025 near the 74.5 zone. So 74,000 and a half zone here could be the next good target. But in general, look, I talked about it. I said if we do fall back below the 88 zone, I'm going to lean towards the downside. Now, like I said, I'm watching this 80,560. So this is where my next target will be. And I'm going to keep an eye on it. If we do clear this, forthcoming lower low will be confirmed. Bitcoin Cash. So I threw out a piece yesterday to our VIP clients, and I said, look, Bitcoin Cash, keep your eyes on it. We're in the range here. The prevailing trend was the downside, and there we go, cleared the lower side. Fantastic. So we're currently getting a hold up near the 200-day EMA, but if we drop and stay below the 200-day EMA, and if Bitcoin wants to go further south, honestly, I think, yes, further declines are possible. Ripple loved the 1.9090 level. I talked about it on Wednesday, hugged it a little bit, probably gave it a kiss goodbye, and then drifted to the downside. It cleared this hurdle here, the 1.77 zone. Look, if we somehow stay above the 1.77, maybe there's a chance for the bulls. But if we do continue to remain below the 1.77, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is where we are heading. We're heading towards the lowest point of 2025 here, near the 1.60 zone, somewhere around there. Ethereum, very quickly on Ethereum, drifted lower. Fantastic, great movement here to the downside, 2,775. Let's see if we can reach this 2,621. That's going to be my next target. That's the lowest point of November. Ethereum Classic, very quickly dropping. Fantastic. Now, this is interesting if we're going to actually end up falling below the psychological 10 level. Let's see. Litecoin, beautiful test of the 63.25. That's the level I talked about previously. That's the lowest point of April of 2025. I talked about it, so we're trying to flirt with it right now. We're flirting already with it, so let's see if we can break it. If we can break it, yep, further declines here are possible. Dogecoin, again, let's see what's going to happen here. But look, lately there's some news around Tesla, Elon Musk, and SpaceX. So basically they're kind of like joining forces. I wouldn't really be surprised if there's some sort of like a spot there for Dogecoin, that somehow they're going to be taking payments. Again, the same story that we're going to be taking payments in Dogecoin. Boom, Dogecoin goes higher. So this the Elon coin, or sorry, should I say the Dogecoin, is very very sensitive to those news. So keep your eyes on those. For now, it's sensitive to what's happening with Bitcoin. No major news on the Elon front. So yep, we're seeing further declines. And Polkadot 1.70. Wow. 1.70, and we are very close to this 1.65 in a half zone. So yes, 1.65, kind of 50-ish. So look, if we do drop below that, yep, further declines are possible, ladies and gentlemen. So I think that then the next target is around the 1.44, 45-ish territory, and then we'll just have to take it from there. Tron, my beloved Tron, is also falling, but not significantly. Look, Tron in general, I like Tron. It's a very kind of, I wouldn't say stable, but it's very, it actually acts like a currency. It actually acts like a currency pair, and like a very, like, where everything is controlled, everything like as if there's a Tron central bank or something like that, you know. So for now, look, we're seeing weakness in Tron, just in general, because we're seeing weakness in the crypto world, despite the big weakness in the US dollar. I think further declines here are still also possible, so let's keep that in mind. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. Let me wrap up this session. Thank you very much for watching, listening. I hope you found it useful. I hope you joined me from the beginning. But if you didn't, look, I mean, I talked a lot in the first part of the webinar. Again, I know these sessions are a little bit lengthy, but these sessions are live, so it's always a good opportunity to ask me questions. Look, I might know something, I might not know something. I'll be honest with you. If I know the answer, I'll say, hey, I know the answer. But if I don't know the answer, I'll say, you know what, I don't know the answer. But I'll try to find it for the next session. Ladies and gentlemen, and by the way, Mr. Rowlett, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you on Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, Monday. And we'll do this. We'll do this again because I think there will be a lot to talk about, and we'll be in the new month as well. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.